We've got a serious problem. As business owners, most of us are being ignored. Why? We are not communicating clearly. The bad news? This is one of the main reasons why many fail to grow past a certain level. And that'll continue or get even worse unless it's fixed the right way. If you've been struggling with revenue stuck at a plateau, sales feel like a roller coaster throughout the year, or prospective customers are ghosting you, then stay tuned. Most think marketing is some kind of magical creative art form, and sales feels like just an unavoidable, awful numbers game grind. The good news? This problem is quick and easy to solve using the unique power of story. In this video and the next, I'm going to show you how to grow your maritime business using story frameworks. First, to clarify your message so more customers pay attention, buy your product or service, and you sell more. And second, to stop selling and instead start inviting customers into a story where more of them buy your product or service to solve their problem. The first time we used these frameworks together, we didn't just increase our revenue, we doubled it. And you can too. These are the type of game-changing frameworks we help our clients use to transform their maritime business into a finely tuned machine. I'm Tommy G. I founded Small Business Advisor Group to help you break out of the frustration, stress, give you what you need to get to the next level, and consistently keep going. And in the process, help you regain and maintain your sanity so you can have a better quality of life. If I can help you with any of this, go ahead and book in a call with me. There's a link to my calendar in the description. This video and the next are really about growing your maritime business, differentiating from the competition, standing out in the sea of noise. By far the best thing I've ever found to differentiate my business or the businesses of my clients is story, and just understanding how to invite customers into a story. Let's get started to get your marketing crystal clear first, and then build on that in our next video to boost your sales. Now, these two frameworks go together like pancakes and maple syrup, mac and cheese, or fish and chips. If you don't use them together, the magic will be lost. So stay tuned for the next video that brings it all together. Part 2, a sales framework for people who hate selling, which is, let's be honest, most of us. All right, here we go. Part 1, stop being ignored. Clarify your message using story so more customers pay attention, buy your product or service, and you sell more. Confusing messages lead to all kinds of problems. Customers don't understand exactly what we offer. Our salespeople can't differentiate our products in the marketplace. The why of our work is muddled, and we aren't connected to a deeper sense of meaning. Now, not only this, but our message is spoken in 1,000 different ways. Word isn't spreading about what we offer, and customers are going to our competitors. The solution? Our framework uses ancient storytelling elements that all humans respond to that will help you clarify your message. Once you learn and use this framework, you'll be seen, heard, and understood, both in your company's internal and external communications. It will help you communicate clearly. This is important because we believe communicating clearly gives you a competitive advantage. If you become the most easy to understand, clear communicator, you will win in your market. Here's the problem. Every day, people are bombarded with information. Because they are being bombarded, they only listen to people and brands that communicate simply and clearly. The reality is, people don't buy the best products and services. They don't. They buy the products and services that are communicated the clearest, the ones they can understand the fastest. So here's a quick heads up. If your competitor has an inferior product or service, but they are a better communicator, they will beat you in the marketplace every single time. The solution? Clarify your message using story. I'm going to explain story structure to you and explain how this stuff works. Now, if you're taking notes, I want you to see that there are two things that the human brain is always trying to do. Just two things. The first thing that the brain is always trying to do is survive or thrive. And the second is conserve calories. The brain is always trying to survive and thrive. So what your brain is doing is it's constantly looking for information that will help it make money, save money, accumulate resources, protect resources, associate with a tribe of friendly people who they can trust, on and on and on. It's looking for that information. If that's the dominant thing the brain is trying to do, then what we need to do is associate our products and services with the survival or improving the quality of life of the person we are talking to. It's the first thing you want to do in order to get somebody curious about you and your business. Associate what you do with their survival or making their life better. If you do that, they will say, I'm willing to give you some mental calories and try to figure out how you and I could be connected in some way because I think you have something that will help me survive or thrive. It's one thing to deliver a really great product. It's another thing to pique somebody's curiosity and make them interested enough in what you have to say so that they will listen and give you some mental calories. The brain burns between 600 and 800 calories a day processing information. It needs to filter out what information it is willing to listen to because it can't process everything. At some point, it says, we don't have any calories left. We can't process any more information for today, which from an evolutionary perspective could be a deadly risk. Like way back in the day, if you ran out of calories to process information and something bad happens, like the pissed off saber-toothed tiger comes barreling around the corner and you don't have the mental capacity to figure out how to get back to your cave or defend yourself fast, you may be eaten alive. So your brain is always interested in conserving those calories. Because it takes calories to process information, humans are designed to ignore information they don't need in order to survive and thrive. People will tune out if the information they are reading or hearing can't easily be associated with their survival. Because the brain works this way, we must clearly and simply communicate how we help our customers survive and thrive. Story is an amazing and ancient tool. Story is the only thing known to mankind that can capture a human being's attention. The reality is the human brain is ignoring about 30% of everything that's going on around it. What I mean by that is 30% of the time, the human brain is daydreaming. 30% of the time, and that's a survival mechanism. Because just when your brain doesn't have any information to process to keep it alive or to help it advance in some way, it just goes into checkout mode. What daydreaming is doing is it's saying that there's nothing in my radar right now, nothing I'm seeing with my eyes or hearing with my ears, perceiving with my mind that I think I need in order to survive or thrive. Therefore, I'm going to tune out. I'm just going to daydream and recharge my brain, or at least not use as much energy because I've only got so much energy to get through the day. I need to basically filter out a lot of information. The only thing known to man that can stop a person from daydreaming and get them to pay attention for 30, 60 minutes, 2 hours or longer is story. It's the only thing. There's something about stories that cause us to pay attention regardless of whatever the story is being delivered from, whether it's the television, the radio, podcast, the email, the website, product packaging, whatever it is. Think about it. If I were to sit you down in front of a screen and start a well-crafted story, a Netflix series or something like that, you actually pay attention. You'll pay attention not only for just 30 minutes, you'll pay attention for an hour, 2 hours, and maybe even 3 hours. And if it's Game of Thrones or something like that, you might lose the entire weekend, right? Story, however, is misunderstood. People think it's this art form that only a select group of people can do well, but they don't understand that story is actually built on formulas. Stories are ancient. The first person who ever talked about the structure of stories in writing was probably Aristotle in his book Poetics, or at least he popularized it. Since then, people have been telling stories, and storytellers have been talking to each other about the best formulas to use to get people to pay attention. Well, think about what they did. They've been passing down story formulas for over 2,300 years that they've used to get people to pay attention. Think about yourself as a business owner. I bet there's a lot to learn from what they've found that gets people's attention, and I bet if you can get people's attention and your competitor doesn't, people aren't going to know your competitor even exists. They're just going to know and remember that you exist. So that's what we're going to accomplish. At the end of this video, you'll have a proven framework to help your business stand out, get people's attention, and keep people's attention. Obviously, critically important if you're a business trying to grow selling your products or services. We want to clarify your marketing message. Most companies waste hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing. Most companies waste so much money on marketing, and it's not because the logo isn't great or the style guide isn't great, the colors that you use. It's not because the agency you're working with isn't actually running the ads. All that is happening, but it's just wasted because the words that you're using to sell your products simply aren't the right words. People buy products and services after reading or hearing words that make them want to buy them. It's the only time they buy those products or services. We are absolutely convinced that if you come up with sound bites that explain to the customer why they need your product to solve their problem, your sales are going to increase. We've seen awful looking websites make millions. In fact, you've probably bought something on Amazon.com in the last week. Am I right? Is that a pretty website? There's nothing attractive at all about that website, but they're making just a little under $600 billion using an ugly website. Let's stop thinking that everything's got to be beautiful. That's not what you should be investing in. What you should be investing in your marketing dollars in are words. What words are we using to talk about your products? When you use the right words, people respond. When it comes to marketing, we have a mantra. It's this: if you confuse, you will lose. Stop confusing your customers. So, what does it mean to confuse your customer? What does it mean to have an unclear message? Nobody understands what you do or how you can help them survive or thrive. If your website desperately needs to be updated with language people can actually understand, you're struggling to get quality leads. Your last marketing effort and the one before that and the one before that maybe flopped. You're losing business to subpar competition. All of this can be fixed with words. What you've got to do is clarify your message so that customers and potential customers will actually listen. If I can help you with any of this, go ahead and book in a call with me. There's a link to my calendar in the description. We want to use the power of story to clarify your marketing message. Here's a question you want to be asking yourself while we go through this. Is the story you are inviting customers into clear and compelling? How do we use the power of story to get people to pay attention to our brand and our marketing? The reality is, stories are in fact built on formulas. We want to use the story formula to come up with talking points that invite your customers into a story in which they buy your product or service to solve their problem. Then, turn those talking points into sound bites you can repeat in every part of your marketing that results in sales. In this video, I'm going to help you come up with 7 different sets of sound bites. These are sound bites that you can use over and over and repeat over and over to grow your maritime business. These sound bites you can put on your website, you can put in your lead generators, you can put in your emails, you can put on your product packaging, everywhere. Let's take a look at what these story formulas look like. I'm going to show you a formula that is basically a synopsis or summary of all of the story formulas. All 7 of them that work, and you're going to recognize this the next time you watch a movie. You're going to go, oh, this is exactly what Tommy G said was going to happen. It happens, and it works. If stories are so amazing at capturing our attention and locking us in, how do they do it? And what is that formula that you can use to capture people's attention? Let's learn how to invite customers into a story. The words you use to talk about your products and services matter. If you clearly explain what you offer, you create trust and repeat business. Again, story is the most powerful tool to compel the human brain. What story is your business inviting people into? Let's review the 7-part framework. How does a story work? Where does the story formula start? The first thing is a character or hero of the story. The character has to want one major thing, or else the story gets muddled. Next, our character needs to have a problem they can't solve on their own. The problem is the hook. If you stop talking about your customers' problems, they will stop listening to you. Then our character, or hero, meets a guide. Position yourself and your business as the guide, helping your hero, the customer, win. As the guide, you give your customers a simple 3-step plan so they are more likely to take the baby steps to solve their problem. You then call your customer to action. Don't be afraid to ask for the money. That leads either to success, tell your customer how great their life will be if they buy your product or service, or failure. Warn your customer about what will happen or continue to happen if they don't take action and buy your product or service. All right, where does the story formula start? The first thing is a character or the hero of the story. You've got to define what your character wants. Every story is about a character who wants something. When I ask about your brand, what do people want from your business? You've got to have an answer. You've got to be able to say, people come to us because they want X. If you have that soundbite, you can repeat it over and over, because then word begins to spread that if you want X, you go to your business. Come up with a soundbite for your character your customer wants. The first plot point to add to your formula is all about the character, the hero, your customer. Every story starts with a character that wants something. Luke Skywalker wants to destroy the Death Star. Rudy wants to play for Notre Dame. Bridget Jones wants to be in a relationship with her boss. When we find out what the hero wants, a story loop is opened in our brain. Will the hero get what they want? And we pay attention for hours to find out. This is one of the keys to getting and keeping an audience's attention. Now remember, The character has to want one major thing, or else the story gets muddled. The two mistakes many small businesses make. The first is they identify too many things their customer wants. The problem with too many things is you lose the plot. The second is they are too vague. Use your words your customer can understand immediately. So consider this. Identify the one major thing customers want from your brand, product, or service. What does your customer want as it relates to your business? Next is a problem. The problem is the hook. If you stop talking about your customers' problems, they will stop listening to you. We need sound bites that define the problem that your customer experiences, because the problem is the trigger that makes them want to buy your products or services. People only spend money to solve a problem. Think about the last thing that you bought. You bought it, I guarantee you bought it to solve a problem. If you bought lunch, the problem was that you were hungry, right? And if you had a headache, you bought aspirin. You only buy things to solve a problem. Now, if you don't have sound bites that say, if you have this problem, buy this product or service, you're not selling very much products, or you're selling it accidentally. People only spend money to solve a problem. If you identify the problem your potential customer is experiencing and communicate that problem clearly, you trigger the buying journey. If you've spent 75% of your time talking about your customer's problem and 25% talking about your products, you think you would increase your sales? What problem do you want to be known for solving? How is your customer's problem making them feel? Why shouldn't people have to deal with this in the first place? Remember, the problem is the hook. If you stop talking about your customers' problems, they will stop listening to you. There are 3 levels of problems your customers are experiencing as it relates to your brand: external, internal, and philosophical. When you identify all 3 levels of problems, you create an even stronger sense of urgency in the mind of your customer. You have 3 different sound bites you can use to trigger an order. The external problem is usually the physical problem, such as a leaky roof or a dog that barks when someone knocks on the door. The internal problem speaks to how the external problem is making people feel. For instance, they are afraid the water damage is going to ruin their house, or they are exhausted having to control the dog all the time. The philosophical problem speaks to the fact your customers should not have to feel the pain or frustration they currently feel. For example, you shouldn't have to worry about your roof, or your dog shouldn't make people feel unwelcome in your home. We've got to come up with the language that we use to define our customer's problem, which triggers them to buy our product or service. Create your talking points for the external, internal, and philosophical problem. Next, we want a soundbite that positions ourselves in our customers' lives, and we're going to position ourselves as the guide. Position yourself as the guide, helping your hero, the customer, win. The guide is the mentor, the teacher, the figure that steps into the story to help the hero, your customer, win the day. The guide is the character in the story that comes in to help the hero win. The guide is the strongest character in the story. The guide has already conquered the problem the hero is dealing with and knows how to get the hero out of their predicament. Here's the big problem that most businesses suffer from. They actually make themselves the hero of the story. You and your business are the guide. Here's a pro tip. You are the guide helping the hero transform and win the day. There are heroes and guides in every story. The hero is Luke Skywalker. The guide is Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi. The hero is Daniel in Karate Kid. The guide is Mr. Miyagi. The hero is the father in Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is the guide. It is a critical mistake for you to position yourself as the hero in the story, and there are several reasons for that. One is heroes are on a journey to become strong, but they aren't strong yet. You, as a brand, must be strong already. Heroes are usually weak. They're ill-equipped. They don't know how to get the job done, and they're in desperate need of help. They're looking for a guide. Another reason is that if you position yourself as the hero in the story, you remove yourself from your customer's story. If your customer is a hero trying to solve a problem, and you are a hero trying to grow a business, you're both in totally different stories. Instead, what you need to say, you're trying to solve this problem. I am a guide who has helped a lot of people like you solve this problem. The guide is the strongest character in the story. You enter the hero's story. Positioning yourself as the hero is a mistake. It makes you look weak. Heroes are on a journey to become strong, but they aren't strong yet. You, as a brand, must be strong already. Nobody is looking for another hero to partner with. They are looking for a guide. Remember, position yourself as the guide helping your hero, the customer, win. You need statements, you need sound bites that position yourself as your customer's guide. There are two things you need to position yourself as the guide. Empathy. The first thing that you need to do is express empathy. Empathize with your potential customers and the pain they are experiencing. Say something like, "We know how it feels to struggle with X." Competency. The second thing that you need to demonstrate is competency. Lead them with competence and demonstrate that you actually know how to help your hero, your customers, overcome their challenge and win the day. Say something like, "We have helped thousands of people just like you overcome X." What statement can you make that expresses empathy for your customer's pain? What statement can you make that demonstrates your authority and competency to help your customer solve their problem? When you express empathy and demonstrate competency, you position yourself as the guide in your customer's life. When customers know that you care about their problem and can help, they seek you out for help. Once you position yourself as the guide your customers have been looking for, they will likely want to place an order to solve their problem. Even though you've invited customers into a story, by identifying what they want and the challenges they are facing, they are not likely to place an order. To encourage them to place an order, we need to give them some baby steps. In the framework, we call these baby steps the plan. Next, we need sound bites around a plan, and I really believe in a 3-step plan. Give your customers a 3-step plan so they are more likely to take the baby steps. Think about where we're taking the customers. So far, we've identified what they want. We've identified problems that they have that we can solve with our product or service. We've positioned ourselves as the guide in their life, and they're ready to place an order. However, they're not going to. The reason is we haven't built a bridge from their problem to our solution, and we're going to do that with a plan. Customers may be interested in your product or service, but they're going to want time to think about it. They want time because of cognitive dissonance created by subconscious concerns and questions. Giving them a 3-step plan allows them to take baby steps and thus lessens the sense of risk. Giving your customer a 3-step plan effectively builds a bridge from their problem to your solution. What do I mean by a plan? I mean, you want to say something like, to work with us, first, we do a short intake session to assess the problem that you have. Second, we give you a custom plan or strategy on what you should do. And third, we help you install our product or service and solve your problem. When you break down the process of using your product or service into 3 baby steps, more people will understand and take those steps. Because if I say, look, I have a software solution that's really going to help you increase sales significantly, that's very interesting to me because I want to increase sales, but it's also very foreign to me. Do I install the software? How's my team going to learn how to use it? There's a lot of cognitive dissonance. But if you actually say, Tommy, I have a software that can help you dramatically increase sales. Here's how it works in 3 easy steps. I meet with you for an hour where we analyze your existing software package and how your sales team works. Then we give you a custom strategy on all of the things we can do to easily transform their behavior so you get more sales. Last, we start charging you a monthly fee if you want to continue to use the software, knowing that your sales are going to increase. Now, I'm going to say yes to the second proposal, but not to the first proposal, because the first proposal didn't have baby steps that I could take to get there. Define a 3-step plan your customer can take with you to buy your product or service and solve their problem. Next is the call to action. Call your customer to action. Don't be afraid to ask for the money. This is the part where you ask for the money, and I know you don't like asking for the money. Nobody likes asking for money, but figure out a soundbite that you can repeat that encourages the customer to pull out their wallet, pull out their credit card, and place an order. What do I mean by call to action? What I really mean by call to action is you want to give your customer permission to buy your product or service. And the way you do that is you say, if you're struggling with this problem, this product will help. You're making the right decision by buying it. You want that language to be repeatable over and over. If you have a retail store, you want everybody on your retail staff to say, that's going to be a great gift, or that outfit looks really great on you, or whatever it is. You or your sales team need to memorize that language so they say it over and over. Start affirming that this is the right decision because that's what your customer wants to do. If we want to grow our businesses, we have to learn how to ask for the money. Guides often have to challenge heroes to take action in order to help them resolve their problem. Leave the Shire, climb the mountain, throw the punch, go and win the heart of the person you love. Get moving. What does this mean for your business? It means we need to call our customer to action. They want to solve their problem. Buying your product or service resolves it. We need to tell them it's time to place an order. Don't assume your customer will know you want them to place an order. You have to be direct. If we want to succeed in business, we have to get over our fear of asking for the money. If you believe in your product, you will sell it. If you don't believe in your product, you will passive-aggressively hint that people should buy it, which only makes you and your product look weak. Your customer wants to place an order, but they have one subconscious question that needs to be answered. Is this the right decision? You can help them understand how buying your product or service is the right decision by telling them directly why it's the right decision, and then actually using the words, this is the right decision. Here's an example of a call to action that's worked well for us. Is your business too dependent on you? Is your business stuck at the same level? Are you working more but achieving less? Are you frustrated you're not further along? Are you trapped in the day-to-day? You shouldn't have to guess how to make your business grow. Uncertainty is risky, and it's costing you time and money. If you identify with any of these problems, this webinar was created for you. And a big bold button below is the call to action, register now. You want to write a call to action that affirms your customer is making the right decision. Okay, how many of you love asking for the money? I know the answer to that. Well, stay tuned, because in the next video, part 2 of how to grow your maritime business using the power of story, I'll give you a framework called The Customer is the Hero. It's a sales framework for people who hate selling. It will forever change the way you approach and feel about selling your products and services. After you go through it, I guarantee you will close more deals naturally, conversationally, without feeling pushy or manipulative. You're going to love The Customer is the Hero sales framework. Stay tuned for that video next. Finally, there are 2 more areas of sound bites that we need: success and failure. There have to be stakes in the story. Something has to be won or lost based on whether or not the hero, or customer, actually accomplishes the task. Stakes give the customer a sense of urgency about placing an order to buy your product or service. If Liam Neeson was trying to rescue his daughter, and he gets a call halfway through the movie, and they say, "Hey, your daughter is here in the police station. She's actually fine." Turns out it was a college prank. There's nothing at stake. And then the last 90 minutes of the movie, Liam Neeson and his daughter shopping in the West End of London trying to buy a dress. We have totally lost the plot of this movie. The reason we've lost it is we've removed the urgency from the movie itself. So you want sound bites that you can repeat over and over and say, look, if you buy my product or service, your life is going to look awesome. And if you don't, it's going to look terrible. That creates stakes. Positive stakes draw the buyer toward buying your products or services. Negative stakes draw them away from their problem in order to solve that problem. So if you buy my product or service, your life is going to look and feel better. Success. But if you don't, it's going to look and feel worse. Failure. Tell your customer how great their life will be if they buy your product or service. Warn your customer about what will happen or continue to happen if they don't buy your product or service. Those need to be repeatable sound bites. Stories need stakes in order to be interesting. What can be won or lost based on whether or not your client places an order? What could be won or lost based on whether Katniss wins the Hunger Games? What could be won or lost based on whether or not Luke Skywalker destroys the Death Star? Consider what positive changes will happen to your customers after they use your product or service to solve their problem. Then, tell your customer how great their life will be if they buy your product or service. When you include all the wonderful things that will happen to people if they buy your product or service, you're adding perceived value to the product itself, and when you add value, people are much more likely to place an order for your product or service. Every hero is looking for a happily ever after ending to their story. If we want to complete the story we are inviting customers into, we need to tell them about the wonderful, powerful, positive thing that will happen to them if they buy our product or service. Talk about the positive stakes at play as they relate to your product or service. List the positive results that will happen to your customers after they buy your product or service. What are the negative stakes? Including the negative consequences of not buying your product or service is important to create a sense of urgency in the mind of the potential customer. If they don't lose anything by not buying your product or service, there's not much of a reason to buy it in the first place. Warn your customer about what will happen or continue to happen if they don't buy your product or service. Kahneman and Tversky's 1979 paper suggests that people are more motivated not to lose $100 that they already have than to receive $100 that they don't have yet. Human beings assign more value to what they already have and could lose than what they do not have yet. This is one reason why it's important to communicate what frustration your products are saving your customers from experiencing. Talking about the negative consequences of not buying your product or service creates a sense of urgency in the mind of the potential buyer. List the negative consequences that will happen to customers if they do not buy your product or service. Now that you have your clear sound bites, where can you start using them? Where can you use your new messaging? Your website. Edit or rebuild your current website. Your sales funnel. Lead generator and subsequent emails. A keynote presentation. You can turn these into a talk. Signage. Create signage in your physical space that reflects your messaging. Elevator pitch. Create and practice an elevator pitch based on your new messaging. Social media. Use your new talking points in your social media collateral. YouTube. Create a YouTube channel and use your messaging in content creation. Video collateral. Email potential clients videos using the talking points. Sales scripts. Use your talking points to create sales scripts that invite customers into a story where they buy your products or services to solve their problem. How? Stay tuned for the next video. Part 2 is all about the customer is the hero framework. You're going to love it. And product packaging. Change copy on your product packaging to reflect your new messaging. Congratulations! You are now able to create sound bites that will grow your maritime business using the power of story. All good marketing is an exercise in memorization. And what I mean by that is when you come up with these 7 sets of sound bites and you repeat them on your website, in your lead generators, in your emails, in your elevator pitches, in your keynote presentations, in person on the retail sales floor, in person in your business-to-business lunches, they're like magic. They are literally like magic. And when you repeat those sound bites over and over again in your marketing collateral, people begin to buy more products from you. You've seen it 1,000 times. It works. The question is, can you come up with those sound bites? When you do, you will overhaul your entire marketing and your marketing will start to work. Once you learn and use the framework, you'll be seen, heard, and understood, both in your company's internal and external communications. It will help you communicate clearly because we believe communicating clearly gives you a competitive advantage. This is true for both individuals and organizations. If you become the most simple, clear communicator, you will win in your market. If I can help you with any of this, go ahead and book in a call with me. There's a link to my calendar in the description. Here are the many benefits of using this framework. For you and your team, you can create effective marketing material. You can create sales scripts that actually work. It'll help you lead teams effectively. It'll help you create and give speeches that actually encourage buy-in. It'll help you align your teams around a common mission and story. Now, in your maritime business, it'll absolutely help you increase revenue. It'll help you connect with customers. It'll position your organization in the marketplace. It'll combat confusion about organization objectives, and it'll align and streamline your sales messaging. It will also help you decrease workplace turnover. It'll inspire employees to work with a sense of meaning. It can increase team unity, and it'll align your teams around a common story. You can teach this framework to your team. And yes, we offer team workshops for this framework. go ahead and book in a call with me. There's a link to my calendar in the description. We'd love to help you and your team. The next video you do not want to miss. You are going to love part 2 of how to grow your maritime business using the power of story. Combined with what you've just learned, you will start to transform your business. Click now to watch The Customer is the Hero Framework, a sales framework for people who hate selling. I'll see you there.